Good evening and welcome. We begin tonight with breaking news from the heart of the British monarchy. After years of mounting pressure, Prince Andrew, once known as the Duke of York, has entered key negotiations with King Charles and senior aides about the surrender of his historic residence at Royal Lodge in Windsor Great Park. The palace has confirmed serious moves to strip the prince of titles, terminate his long-standing lease, and effect a major shift in his role within the royal family. In this segment, we'll explore how this crisis escalated, the role of the king's final decision, and why Prince Andrew is reportedly making a last-ditch request in the face of eviction. Stay with us as we unpack what this means for the monarchy and what comes next. The story begins with a once-favored son of the monarchy. Prince Andrew, younger brother to King Charles, enjoyed a privileged life, including the lease of the 30-room mansion known as Royal Lodge, leased since 2003 under favorable terms. Over decades, scrutiny grew around his associations, particularly with the convicted U.S. financier Jeffrey Epstein, and his public role declined after a problematic BBC interview in 2019 and his formal step back from royal duties. Fast forward to October 2025. Media and political pressure peaked. Leaked documents showed his lease of Royal Lodge included a peppercorn rent, essentially negligible, despite a refurbishment cost of millions. At the same time, the king faced vocal criticism about inaction, as one heckler interrupted a cathedral visit asking, "Have you asked the police to cover up for Andrew?" These events set the stage for a dramatic turn. The royal family now appears determined to draw a definitive line under the controversy, the king's decision and the lease surrender. In a landmark move, Buckingham Palace announced that King Charles has initiated the formal process to remove Andrew's style, titles, and honors, and to terminate his tenure of Royal Lodge. The king's statement made clear, these censures are deemed necessary, notwithstanding the fact that he continues to deny the allegations against him. While the legal complexities of the lease and Andrew's privileged position meant the process was far from simple, sources now indicate he has agreed, reportedly under pressure, to surrender the lease and vacate the property. Analysts say this is one of the most significant royal shifts in recent history. A prince stripped of his titles, a major royal residence reclaimed, and a symbolic message sent by the king about accountability and integrity. The question now, what has Andrew requested in return? Final request and negotiation details. According to multiple reports, as negotiations progressed, Prince Andrew made what insiders call a final request, seeking favorable terms for relocation, possibly access to one or more smaller royal properties, such as Frogmore Cottage or Adelaide Cottage, and a financial settlement or ongoing stipend to support his transition. Royal expert Jenny Bond described the request as brazen given the current climate. "It is an audacious demand, or one the palace should outright reject," she said. From the king's side, the message appears clear. The monarchy will not continue to shield or provide substantial royal privileges to someone under such scrutiny. According to one insider, the assumption is that all titles and honors are for life. But the prince's misconduct has forced a deviation. With Andrew's legal protection via the lease in place until 2078, the surrender represents a major concession. Negotiations reportedly were daily and intense, as the palace sought to avoid a full parliamentary ordeal. In his request, Andrew acknowledged the pressure but sought continuity for his daughters and a stable future, though his exact terms remain private. Implications for the monarchy and what comes next. What does this move mean for the crown and for public perception? First, historically rare. Stripping a prince's title is almost unprecedented. The last similar case dates to 1919. Second, lease and property issues now under parliamentary scrutiny. MPs have asked the Crown Estate and Treasury for details on how the arrangement occurred and why so favorable. Third, for King Charles, this signals that family loyalty must not override institutional integrity. One royal commentator said, "Charles has to put the crown first, above his brother." For Andrew personally, his next steps will include relocation. Reports suggest a property on the Sandringham estate may be his next home, and the relinquishment of public royal roles. Official announcements of the relocation and handover of Royal Lodge. Financial settlement details and whether Andrew remains publicly supported. Comments from his daughters and ex-wife on the future of the family. Public opinion shifts and media reaction over the coming weeks. In the next part of this series, we'll dive into how props and palace finances play into the story, the reaction from Parliament and the public, and what this means for the future of senior royals. Stay tuned. Tonight, the palace walls echo with the aftermath of one of the most consequential royal decisions in decades. Prince Andrew's removal from Royal Lodge has triggered not only family tension, but a wave of political debate and public scrutiny. What began as a private family dispute has now become a question of public accountability. Who pays for the royals? And how far should forgiveness go? The financial ripple effect. Following confirmation that the prince would vacate Royal Lodge, attention immediately turned to the financial terms. Reports in The Guardian indicated that a six-figure payment and a modest annual stipend may accompany the transition, described by one aide as a gesture of closure, not reward. The funds, if confirmed, would come from the king's private duchy revenues, not taxpayer support. Still, the optics remain sensitive. A senior official told the Financial Times that the palace's objective is to tidy up long-standing arrangements, ensuring every royal residence and expense can withstand parliamentary scrutiny. Parliament responds. Members of Parliament wasted no time demanding transparency. Conservative MP Peter Aldous called for a review of royal property leases, stating, "The Crown must exemplify probity." Opposition voices echoed similar concerns, arguing that special privileges have undermined public trust. Meanwhile, Downing Street has refrained from direct comment, describing the matter as internal to the royal household but of legitimate public interest. According to parliamentary correspondence, committees may soon request detailed disclosure from the Crown Estate on how Royal Lodge was managed, an inquiry that could reshape how royal housing operates in the future. The public mood and media reaction. Across Britain, reaction has been divided but passionate. Outside Buckingham Palace, some express sympathy. "He's still the king's brother. He deserves dignity in old age," one visitor said. Others, however, view the decision as long overdue justice. It's about time accountability reached every level, even the royal one. The press has framed the moment as a reckoning. Headlines from The Guardian, BBC, and The Telegraph carry words like closure, consequence, and new chapter. Royal watchers on social media highlight how the palace has shifted from silence to decisive action under Charles III, portraying the monarch as modernizing, pragmatic, and at times unflinchingly firm. One political analyst told the BBC, "This isn't merely about property, it's about moral legitimacy." Inside the palace walls, within the palace, insiders describe mixed emotions. Courtiers sympathetic. To Andrew recalled decades of loyal service in the Navy and overseas missions. Others insist that his continued residence at Royal Lodge undermined the king's message of transparency. "It was unsustainable," one staff member reportedly said. Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York, is understood to be providing emotional support but has largely stepped back from public advocacy. Royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams observed, "Privately, the family dynamic is painful, but Charles knows public trust outweighs private comfort." This moment has also strengthened the king's partnership with Queen Camilla, whose counsel has been described as steady and pragmatic. Behind closed doors, the royal household now focuses on stability, streamlining finances, revising staff structures, and preserving the monarchy's public image ahead of 2026's major state events. Andrew's perspective, a prince in transition. For Prince Andrew, friends say the adjustment is immense. Once a working royal, now effectively a private citizen, he faces a quieter existence at Sandringham or another smaller estate property. His daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, remain supportive and continue their charity work, steering clear of controversy. A former naval colleague told reporters, "He'll feel this as a personal failure, but maybe also as a form of relief. The uncertainty is finally ending." The prince reportedly intends to keep a low profile, focusing on family life and private service roles where permitted. Closing tease for Part 3. With the dust settling, Britain now asks, what does this signify for the crown's future? Has King Charles drawn a clear moral boundary for all royals, or opened a deeper constitutional debate about privilege and accountability? In Part 3, we'll explore how this decision reshapes the monarchy's image, the lessons learned from past royal crises, and what lies ahead for the House of Windsor. Stay tuned. Part 3 of Prince Andrew's final request continues next. Breaking developments tonight, as the royal family closes one of its most difficult chapters. Prince Andrew's quiet exit from Royal Lodge marks not just the end of an era, but the beginning of a royal transformation led by King Charles III. What lessons will the monarchy carry forward, and what challenges lie ahead as Britain questions the very purpose of its royals in the 21st century? The aftermath inside the palace. After months of tension, the atmosphere within Buckingham Palace has reportedly begun to settle. Sources close to the household say the king feels a sense of resolution, though not satisfaction. Charles has always viewed his reign as an opportunity to modernize, not through radical change, but through quiet reform. Insiders describe him as a monarch deeply conscious of public sentiment. One senior aide told the Sunday Times, "His Majesty understands that public trust is the monarchy's lifeline. This was never about punishing his brother. It was about protecting the institution." Behind the scenes, palace aides are said to be finalizing long-term residency plans for Prince Andrew, likely within smaller royal properties under strict privacy guidelines. The king's vision for a slimmed-down monarchy. The decision to remove Andrew from Royal Lodge fits into a broader royal strategy long championed by Charles. For years, he has advocated for a slimmed-down monarchy, fewer working royals, reduced public expenditure, and a focus on purpose-driven representation. Royal historian Dr. Ed Owens explained to The Telegraph, Charles is pruning the institution to make it leaner, more transparent, and ultimately more defensible in modern Britain. That approach means difficult family decisions, scaling down patronages, reviewing property usage, and maintaining distance from scandal. The king's message is clear. Royalty is not a shield from responsibility. Public and media response, a divided Britain. Across the UK, the public remains split. Polling from YouGov suggests a modest rise in confidence towards King Charles's leadership, especially among older Britons who see the move as decisive. Yet younger audiences, many shaped by digital media and skeptical of inherited privilege, continue to question the monarchy's relevance. On social media platforms like X and TikTok, debates rage over whether the crown still reflects modern British values. The mainstream press has taken a largely respectful tone. BBC News called it a necessary realignment, while The Guardian described it as a royal course, correction decades overdue. Still, tabloid coverage remains relentless, following Andrew's every move and speculating on his next steps. The royal family, aware of this spotlight, is working hard to present unity and quiet dignity during public appearances. Prince Andrew's life beyond Royal Lodge, away from Windsor. Prince Andrew is adjusting to an unfamiliar rhythm, one of privacy, not privilege. Sources say he has accepted the king's decision but remains deeply hurt by the process. His days reportedly revolve around reading, equestrian activities, and spending time with his daughters and grandchildren. Friends insist that Andrew has no desire to return to public royal duties, though he may seek involvement in charitable or naval-related work behind the scenes. Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York, continues to act as a steady emotional anchor. One longtime friend told People magazine, Andrew will never fully escape his past, but he hopes to rebuild a private life with quiet dignity. That for him is redemption. Whether that redemption is possible, however, remains uncertain. The court of public opinion is slow to forgive. The king's personal strain, duty over blood. Observers note that this decision, though publicly pragmatic, came at a deep personal cost. Charles and Andrew shared decades of brotherly history, from naval service to family, holidays at Balmoral. Yet the king's commitment to the monarchy outweighed his fraternal loyalty. Royal analysts say this moment mirrors Queen Elizabeth II's own philosophy. The crown must endure, even when the heart aches. Those who know, Charles say he carries that same burden. The painful balance between compassion and duty. What this means for the future of the crown. As Britain approaches another era of social and economic uncertainty, the monarchy faces the challenge of staying relevant, accountable, and respected. The Royal Lodge saga may ultimately be remembered as a turning point, a symbolic declaration that no title places anyone above scrutiny. In the coming months, the palace will likely continue reassessing assets, expenses, and public engagements, shaping a monarchy that reflects transparency, discipline, and service. And so the story concludes, not with scandal, but with transformation. Prince Andrew's departure from Royal Lodge marks the end of one chapter and the renewal of another. King Charles, though tested, stands firm, guiding a centuries-old institution through the storm of modern accountability. If you followed this 3-part series, make sure to like, subscribe, and share, because the story of Britain's royal family is far from over. In the coming weeks, We'll cover how these decisions reshape not only the monarchy, but the very identity of the United Kingdom itself. This is the Royal Desk. Thank you for watching.